Following the blockade of West Germany imposed last night and NATO's provoking demands in response, East Germany's stranglehold on West Berlin has only grown tighter, and with no signs of stopping the tension, it is becoming increasingly likely that NATO's warning to the Warsaw Pact will evolve into military action as the East's refusal becomes an act of war. NATO's warning to the East calls their actions in Berlin a blatant, unconscionable violation of international law with a demand to cease their activity. This warning may come with major consequences for both sides, as NATO has verbally threatened the use of tactical nuclear weapons in the event that their demands are not met, as the United States initiates a worldwide Stage 2 alert readiness event for its military. It is clear that steps have already been taken to make these threats a reality.
This is the emergency broadcast system. All persons in transit in the Kansas City metropolitan area are advised to proceed immediately to the municipal shelter facility in the community or township closest to your current location. While there is no immediate danger to the Kansas City area, the Federal Emergency Management Agency urges that you learn the steps to be taken in the event of a probable attack. Remember to stay calm and assist those in need. Make your way to the designated shelter as quickly and safely as possible, and bring essential supplies such as food, water, clothing, and any necessary medications. If you are unable to reach a shelter, find the nearest available cover and take refuge. Please remain vigilant and avoid crowded areas. Your safety is our top priority. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is working to ensure your well-being. Please cooperate fully with emergency personnel and follow these instructions carefully.
This is the emergency broadcast system. This message has been sent out to inform citizens of events currently ongoing in Europe that could escalate into a present danger for the United States. There have been exchanges of attacks between NATO and the Warsaw Pact in Central Europe that have brought the high possibility of an all-out escalation of strike efforts between the two sides. Both sides have experienced attacks on military personnel and facilities, including the destruction of a NATO regional headquarters. Due to this attack against the entirety of the treaty organization, member countries of NATO have been provoked into a vigorous response in return. While a final decision has not been made, it is likely that if this response is put into plan, nuclear warfare between the two sides will begin with attacks on the homelands of each. This means that the United States and its civilians may experience attacks via nuclear weapons. We highly advise that you take immediate shelter in a reinforced building with all windows and other entrance points blocked off. Have emergency equipment with you at all times, as well as survival supplies. Stay in your shelter and remain calm. Be prepared for what may happen. Stay tuned to radio networks and wait for further information.
This is Sweet Sage. We've produced this file to report that our command has authorized and initiated the launch of our arms from the Minuteman launch sites. This was an authorized response to the attack on the NATO regional headquarters outside of Frankfurt. This is a full retaliatory response. Our men aboard the Looking Glass are now attempting to track potential incoming ICBMs. Confidence is currently high. We wish you well. Good luck.
A national activation of the emergency broadcast system has been requested due to an emergency of great proportions. Please stand by.
The federal government in Washington, D.C. has interrupted regular programming nationwide at the request of the White House. This is not a test. Again, this is not a test. A mass detection of 300 intercontinental ballistic missile launches has been reported by remaining missile detection centers not affected by Soviet strikes. These missiles are likely tipped with nuclear warheads. No exact locations are available at this time, but based on preliminary calculations, the Pacific and Midwestern United States are likely to be targeted by these launches. If you reside in these possible target regions, seek refuge now. Viable shelters can be in the form of a central room on the lowest floor of your residence or a fallout shelter that can be located in urban areas. Before entering your shelter, gather necessary supplies such as clean water, non-perishable food, clothing, and medical supplies. Keep a portable radio with you at all times, with methods to supply its power. Do not panic, as doing such will cause danger to yourself and those around you. Each missile takes around 30 minutes to travel from its launching point to its target. Around 15 to 20 minutes remain in this cycle to prepare and shelter. We reiterate that this broadcast is not an exercise. A real-time attack on the United States by the Soviet Union is taking place. It is unknown if there will be multiple waves of this attack. When strikes occur, do not look at the blast. Taking such action will cause near-instant blindness. It is also recommended to protect your head and ears. Keep away from windows, as a shockwave blast may destroy them. Fallout is the most deadly component of a nuclear blast, and precautions must be taken to protect yourself. Disable heat and ventilation systems in your shelter. Wear face coverings. Insulate your shelter room with damp towels, tape, or other materials to reinforce your room. Keep a distance from others in your room if applicable. We interrupt the current message to send target warnings and evacuation orders for areas in danger regions. Due to the massive amount of detected missiles, there is no way to detect all locations that will be attacked. Any and all action should be taken with caution and with consideration due to the potential of an attack in your area. Civilians in the following areas are very likely targets: Los Angeles, California; San Diego, California; San Francisco, California; Sacramento, California; Portland, Oregon; Seattle, Washington; Spokane, Washington; Boise, Idaho; Las Vegas, Nevada; Tucson, Arizona; Phoenix, Arizona; Salt Lake City, Utah; Denver, Colorado; Colorado Springs, Colorado; Santa Fe, New Mexico; Albuquerque, New Mexico; Dallas, Texas; Houston, Texas; Austin, Texas; San Antonio, Texas; El Paso, Texas; Tulsa, Oklahoma; Topeka, Kansas; and Kansas City, Missouri. If you are in a 20-mile radius of these areas, it is likely too late to evacuate, as missiles will strike before you can safely flee the area. If you are within a 100-mile radius of these areas, evacuating is still not recommended. The safest action you can take is to seek immediate shelter. If you are within a radius more than 100 miles away from a target, evacuation to a rural shelter area is advised. Additionally, if you reside near a military or industrial location, you are at elevated risk of attack. More areas will receive evacuation orders shortly.
AM and BC-9 will remain on the air to broadcast updated news and information for Kansas City and western Missouri. Non-essential stations will be taken off the air to prioritize the use of news stations. After the missile crisis ends, President Bush will address the Union on all television and radio stations. This station will now shut off until new information becomes available.
The fair period has been interrupted to bring an important message that will be vital to your safety. Please listen closely. This is KMBC 9 television in Kansas City. We are momentarily interrupting the off-air period to bring you an urgent message regarding the missile crisis. Kansas City is now a confirmed target of 2 separate missiles from the Soviet Union. Time will now be taken to repeat instructions from the presidential alert message. Those in a 20-mile radius of Kansas City are lost. There is no time left to evacuate, and attempting to do so will end in vain. Those in a 100-mile radius of Kansas City must shelter in place now with supplements of food, water, clothing, medicine, and a portable radio. Those outside the 100-mile radius are cleared to evacuate, but should still be prepared to shelter in a rural area with supplies on standby. Be prepared with a resilient shelter to resist the fallout, shock wave, and initial blast. Around 15 minutes remain until impact, based on preliminary calculations. Use this time wisely to protect your life. God bless you all.
This is not a test. Reports have confirmed a large explosion of a Soviet missile in a high-altitude area above downtown Kansas City has caused an extremely large electromagnetic pulse. Communications and electric access have been crippled. Radios, televisions, and other devices powered by direct electricity will be rendered useless for an uncertain amount of time. Devices powered by batteries will remain operable, but with no way to replenish power supplies. If possible, find an alternative to inoperable devices. There are about 5 minutes until the second missile impacts. If you cannot repair devices or locate alternatives, remain in your shelter and brace for impact. Be ready to protect your head, eyes, and ears. Updated emergency broadcasts will be sent as this life-threatening situation progresses.
The following parishes are under a shelter-in-place order due to fallout from the Houston missile attack. Cameron, Calcasieu, Allen, Jefferson Davis, Acadia, Vermilion. The following parishes are under a shelter-in-place order due to fallout from the Dallas missile attack. Caddo, Bossier, DeSoto, Webster. These orders are in place for 14 days unless circumstances change.
We interrupt emergency programming on this station to bring you an important message. President George H.W. Bush has released a statement regarding the Soviet missile strikes on U.S. soil. President Bush is not available to read his message on air, so this message will be read via speech synthesis nationwide. Please stand by as the message processes. We will now broadcast President Bush's message.
My fellow Americans, it has truly been an honor serving this nation, and to see it fall into disarray after such an unwarranted attack on our lands is very saddening to me. I wish all that are in danger good luck, and my condolences to the families of those who have passed. Ever since conflict escalated on the West-East German border, I prayed to myself that a day like this would never come. Unfortunately, my prayers were never answered. I request that for the time being, no matter where you are, to shelter in place in the event that we are struck with yet another unprecedented wave of strikes. I, however, will be taking action to ensure a second wave will not happen. The federal government is opening talks with the Soviet Union regarding a ceasefire, as the damage caused by strikes to both nations has been devastating for the people. This does not mean the war is over, and the United States will not surrender. Thank you, and God bless America. The following parishes are under a shelter-in-place order due to fallout from the Houston missile attack. Cameron.
I've forgotten the day at this point. There's no point for me to remember that kind of information now. For what I've seen since this hell broke out has lingered in my mind, no way to get rid of it. I was recently taken to Virginia as part of a relief mission in the Midwest. I can't express how glad I am to be removed from that place. It would be an understatement to call it a living hell. Every day you'd see one piece of society after another just constantly falling out. You'd see criminals arrested and put down by firing squads for the least impactful crimes. The petty burglar mowed down simply for taking small amounts of food to live off of. You'd see these incidents happen without stable proof, innocent men and women wrongfully being picked off because of some unjust suspicion. You'd see the insane running and frolicking in fields dusted with radioactive dust, suffering from their idiotic deeds. You'd see violent brawls between every group you could imagine, like what I saw, a brawl between soldiers and survivors. You'd walk past makeshift hospitals and hear deathly screams, absolutely harrowing to live with. You'd see your friends and family, if you still have them, completely deformed from what they were in their previous and simpler lives. We try to make changes and advances to keep ourselves alive, but even simple discussions of how we can maintain agriculture and soil lead to squabbling. To those who'd like to understand truly what's happening, take my word for it. One moment in that cruel place, and you'll be regretting every choice you've made. Stay out.
This station has just received word from the United States government that a ceasefire has been organized between the Soviet Union and our United States of America. President Bush has provided us with another message regarding this situation. In a few moments, this message will be read on this station. Stand by as the message processes.
My fellow Americans, while the extent of damage to our country is still uncertain, and shall probably remain so for some time, Preliminary reports indicate that principal weapons impact points included military and industrial targets in most sectors of the United States. There is at the present time a ceasefire with the Soviet Union, which sustained damage equally catastrophic. Many of you listening to me today have suffered personal injury, sudden separation from loved ones, and the tragic loss of your families. I share your grief, for I too have suffered personal loss. In this hour of sorrow, I wish to assure you that America has survived this terrible tribulation. There has been no surrender, no retreat from the principles of liberty and democracy, for which the free world looks to us, for leadership. We remain undaunted before all but Almighty God. Functioning under certain extraordinary emergency options. We are prepared to make every effort to coordinate relief and recovery programs at the state and local level. During the next 2 weeks, my staff and cabinet will relocate to the National Emergency Reconstruction Headquarters in Des Moines, Iowa. At the present time, and until radiation pattern reports are made available over the emergency broadcast band or through your local authorities, I urge you to remain in areas offering maximum shelter protection from radioactive fallout and to obey all local curfews. We are counting on you. You see on your strength, your patience, your will, and your courage to help rebuild this great nation of ours. God bless you all.
That was the President's representative reading his message. Thank you for your time.